The Subjugation of a Ghost. I think maybe The Exorcism of a Ghost might be a more appropriate title. And I'm going to read this story. A young wife fell ill and was about to die. I love you so much, she told her husband. I don't want to leave you. Do not go from me to any other woman. And if you do, I'll return as a ghost and cause you endless trouble. The wife did die, passed away. The husband respected her wish to not be involved with anybody else for the first 3 months, not a very long time. But then he met another woman and fell in love. We can't predict when that's going to happen. He met another woman and fell in love, as is the case. They became engaged and to be married. Now, as soon as he became engaged to be married with this woman, he began having dreams. And every night, a ghost would appear to him, blaming him for not keeping his promise to his former wife. And the ghost, well, apparently was quite clever. She would tell him exactly what transpired between him and his new sweetheart. And whenever he gave his fiancée a present, the ghost would know and recognize it and comment on it in detail. Would repeat conversations between the man and his fiancée. The man became so annoyed and so distraught and so worried about this that he couldn't sleep, and he became agitated during the day. Someone advised him to go take his problem to a Zen teacher who lived nearby. So finally, after lots of long nights of suffering, in despair, he went to see the Zen teacher and told him the whole story. The teacher said, well, okay, your former life became a ghost, knows everything you do. Great. And whatever you do or say, she knows. Great. She must be a very wise ghost to be able to know all of that. She must really admire a ghost that knows everything you do. So let's do a little test. The next time the ghost appears, why don't you bargain with her? Why don't you set up a deal? Tell her that she knows so much, this ghost knows so much that you can't hide anything from her. But if she fails to know everything, then you're going to regard her as a phantom. So the teacher said, look, before you go to bed, reach into a bag of peas, get a handful, put them in a bowl next to you, don't look at them. And when you go to bed at night and this ghost comes, you ask the ghost. You say, I went to consult with someone today and they told me to ask you how many peas are in that bowl. And the ghost couldn't. And according to the story, the ghost couldn't answer the question and disappeared. Now, in a way, this is what we all tend to do. We all have ideas in our minds. We have fixed beliefs in our minds. We have different kinds of ghosts that are troubling us. And when we believe these ghosts, we become agitated. So what do I mean by ghost in this case? So one way of looking at that is everything that is not absolutely exigent, that is not your direct experience in this moment, is a memory, is a fantasy, is a dream, is in the past or future which don't exist. So when we begin thinking that the dream of the past or future is more real, more important, is telling us something that's more true than our direct experience right here, we are at the mercy of ghosts. We're frozen. The mind starts telling stories, usually of disaster, and it goes around and around and around. To recognize our fixed views, to recognize the dreams that we take as reality, and to look directly at them and to recognize their true nature is the entrance gate to liberation. All these assumptions that we have about who we are and how the world works are the very things that keep us bound. So to calm the mind through meditation, to calm the mind, to be able to recognize the places of suffering, to look into the places of suffering and see what is the fixed belief that I have right there. What is the belief that I have about how things should be that the world is not meeting? And then to look directly into that and see that the friction is coming from the ghost, the phantom in my own mind. And we recognize that the friction, the suffering, the pain of our lives begins perhaps and maybe even ends with that truth. We suddenly recognize it not as a truth that we are at the mercy of all these dreams, but that we actually are liberated right here, right now, even with dreams. And the last piece, of course, is that with seeing the nature of reality, that's not enough. That we have to see the nature of reality, and then we have to engage with the world from a place of truth. Without the engagement with the world, because the world is our mind, the world is our life, without that engagement, it just becomes another dream that we are spinning around. So, sit, look, see reality, engage, engage, engage with loving kindness, with compassion, with sympathetic joy, with equanimity.